Good morning, guys. Sorry I was out for the last couple of days. Today is Friday, May 3rd. I did provide updates to the paid subscribers, but wanted to get back on YouTube and provide you an update on one of the stocks I'm watching. Markets overall look good thanks to the Apple earnings release. The earnings were not great, but I think the $100 billion buyback has moved the stock up. This is no Apple. I'm not very bullish on 2024, but this is a stock that just won't give up. So I'm not bearish either. I'm just neutral on the stock. I don't think it's going to go up a lot more, but it's already defied my projections, and it seems to be extremely strong. So that's a good sign for Apple. Bullish long. I still have some shares of Apple long term, but I'm not buying in at these prices. Okay, so one of the companies that showed up on the radar is Squarespace. Squarespace competes with GoDaddy, Wix, and a whole host of other people, including Shopify, in the website and domain management space. What that means is if you are a small or medium sized business, and there are millions, about 26 million in the US alone, little over 150 million worldwide. Small businesses, whether they are solo entrepreneurs, all the way up to about 100 people in the company, and they want to build a website or they want to be able to get their domain up and running. They want email addresses. They want to be able to put together a shopping cart and a e-commerce capability online. They will go to Squarespace. They might go to Wix. They might go to GoDaddy. They might go to even Shopify to a certain extent if they want an e-commerce site alone. So that's what Squarespace does. They put together and help you put together a website and help you put together an online presence so you can market your company. So they're a marketing solution in some senses. They were started in 2010 primarily as a company that provided domains. Last year, 2023, they bought out Google's domain capability. So Google, with Google Docs and Google Workspace, is what it's called right now, provided small businesses with email capability and also productivity solutions, competing with Microsoft Word and other things. They still have that, but they also, because of that, started providing domains and website management. And Squarespace bought that business out, so they are now owning all of the Google domains and managing that effectively. They still have a partnership with Google that allows them to offer Google's email services and Workspace as a default for their customers, who can also go to Microsoft Office if they want. But Squarespace did that deal, and that really started to help them grow revenue much more faster than they were doing before. They provide a lot of do-it-yourself design capability for customers. So if I go to Squarespace and I buy a domain from them, they will provide a DIY website builder that helps me be able to build my online presence, put together website pages, do an SEO optimization, and that add e-commerce capabilities, whether I'm offering my services as a consultant and hence people can book my time online and get charged for it, or all the way up to offering products. Their commerce offering is about 10 years old, relatively recent, and they're doing roughly a significant amount of revenue. 30% of the revenue comes from commerce related offerings. They have net income profitable. They've been profitable since 2016, so growing fairly quickly from that point of time. But they continue to acquire new companies and do over a little. They're on track to do about $1 billion, a little more than $1 billion. So they're doing about billion one, I think, to billion two. 1.5 billion is Wix, and nearly 6 billion is GoDaddy. So that's to give you the relative scale of these companies. So they're doing fairly well in that sense. And now with social media becoming an important part, they also acquired Talk, which is one of the other companies, and they actually went public in 2021. So what is Squarespace? It's an all-in-one platform to be able to help you buy a website, buy a domain, help you design your website, whether it is a single page website, whether it's multiple pages and so on. You can do e-commerce on your website, be able to take payments. They partner with Stripe and other guys as well. And they allow you to do it in a very simple fashion. And it's built more for the capability of users that want to be able to have their website available both on the mobile phone or on a tablet or also on a desktop. Very good customer support is almost the norm for a lot of these companies. Relatively speaking, I've not used Squarespace as much. I've used Wix, I've used GoDaddy, I've used Namecheap, I've used Hostinger. So I've used a few of these guys. Relatively speaking, most of their customer service is about the same. Not great, not bad, but off the lot, Hostinger tends to be, in my perspective, a lot more. So at the basic level, you need a web presence. They give you website and domains. You can use a mobile application that they provide called Unfold to be able to have your social presence managed in a single location. They give you an email, professional email. So for example, if you want you@yourwebsite.com, you can do it via Google Workspace. That comes at an additional cost, about $12 or so per month. And they have enterprise solutions when they want to manage multiple different domains, multiple different email addresses, and so on. More useful for companies that are trying to be able to have a lot of domains managed in one. The commerce capability allows you to put together online stores. So if you are a nail salon, for example, and you want to manage people giving you half an hour, 1 hour appointments, you can do that. If you're a legal person and you want to offer your legal services by the hour, you can do that as well. And you have member specific areas for people that want to be able to, if you want to be able to build a membership program and have people spend about $100, $200 a month to be able to get your advice, you can do that with Squarespace. You can even do reservations online. For example, if you want to be able to book a party venue, Squarespace allows you to be able to provide that as a capability. Finally, with marketing. So the reason why a lot of people buy and build websites is to be able to market their products, market their solutions. You can do campaign management. For example, Google AdWords. You can manage that through Squarespace. You can manage your social ads through Facebook, to Squarespace. You can do SEO and then get analytics and video as well. Well, the video is one of their faster growing platforms. Now, to give you context as to why there are so many different players in the market and there's still a bigger need because this market is fairly fragmented, is back in 1999, there were about 1 million websites. Now there are over 2 billion websites. So the market is just large. It's just grown dramatically. Most people expected to have about 500 million websites by 2020. Now it's almost a $2 billion range. So the market is fairly large for being able to have marketing solutions for companies that want to be able to go ahead and buy website marketing solutions, get promotions done. So if you look at 350 million small businesses worldwide, 26 million in the US, another 150 million, and then presence outside of those businesses as well, organizations. Many companies have multiple different websites. That itself is a $350 billion market space, so fairly big. The traditional web solutions market, which tends to be put together your own website, put it on a Linux desktop, etc., that's about 180 billion. And then Squarespace revenue is about nearly about $1 billion, I would say, right now. This is 2021. Now they're doing a little over $1 billion. So they've done online capability and e-commerce capability in 2013. 10 years later, they're doing a whole host of them, including reservations. E-commerce growth has been fairly strong. So from the original start in 2013 all the way to 2020, they grew to about 3.9 billion in GMV, which is the gross merchandise value. The revenue overall in terms of growth after that has been just dramatic. If you see the 9 months ending 2021, they've just grown from 3 billion to 4 billion. This was during the days of the COVID. It has been a phenomenal growth. They're also growing very well outside of the US, which used to be, as a percentage of total, used to be about 30%, still continues to be about 30% of their total revenue that comes from international. Now, given that they're doing over $1 billion, near $350 million comes from international. Two big areas for growth for them. They continue to have big growth. So they're mostly present right now in the US, UK, and Australia. They do have a lot of locations outside of that as well that they're starting up right now. But in 2023, they actually included Amsterdam, UK. They don't have a presence yet in Germany. Sorry, outside in South America. They don't have a big presence in Africa as well. But Europe is the big growth for them. Now, circle expert community. Now, if you are a person that wants to, a lot of people on Twitter do this. They build together a Discord community where people can join that community, pay $50, $100 a month, and they share content with them in terms of the key charts that they're seeing or other content material, education material. They allow you to do that. You can do that in Squarespace as well. You can build a circle community that allows people to be able to subscribe to the community, get community specific benefits. On the enterprise side of the business, this was about 2-3 years ago is when they got started, essentially to help companies that want to buy a whole volume of websites and domains. That's typically agencies, could be agencies, for example. Another one could be people that are buying domains and keeping them for literally what they call website parking. And a lot of people also buy it because someone like HP manages, if I remember right, 750 websites. When I was at BuildDirect, we managed about 400 websites and domains, all of them which pointed to the same place, but with a little bit of a different variation, if you will. And these enterprises allow them to get to close to about $10,000 per year versus the average customer is spending roughly in about 500 to about $1,000 per year. The larger customers, tens of thousands of dollars. So unique subscriptions, they have a little over 3.7 million. That essentially evaluates to about 186 average revenue per user. And the unique subscriptions themselves is about 3.7 million. So 3.7 million unique subscriptions could be multiple customers. It could be 3.7 million customers. Is more likely 2.9 to 3.2 is what they said customers, and then a lot of accounts within those customers have more than that overall. So what are the unique subscriptions? Someone could buy a website, could buy a domain. Those are simple ones. Attached to the website could be or a Google Workspace, could be a campaign such as a Google Ads campaign, for example, or a scheduling solution or member solution, as I talked about before. And then if you want to be able to buy things that are outside of that, you can do that as well, which is scheduling, and then Talk, which is their capability to be able to manage social media. So that's essentially what they start with a domain. Almost always they will start with a domain and a website. Then they'll get a domain, website, and then Google Workspace or scheduling solutions, e-commerce solutions. That's essentially how they've started out. They've innovated consistently over the years. I think the key part that a lot of people will probably get is the fact that from when they started launching, they've done a series of capabilities to make website building more easier. And a lot of people usually say, okay, if they're making website building more easier, shouldn't the number of website developers go down? It's actually not going down because, again, the market has gone up from 1 million to 2 billion websites. That just means the number of people building websites has gone up, as has the DIY solutions across the board. Talk also competes with Talk essentially competes with one of the solutions that they compete with is Toast and a few others, which is restaurant and hospitality capabilities. Make it very easy for people, mostly in the small and medium side, who want to just get their website up, put a few images, get people to buy online. Restaurants started adopting the platform fairly frequently. And during COVID, we had a whole bunch of people doing side hustles, going to Squarespace, building up a quick website, going to Shopify, building up a quick e-commerce site. What a lot of people did also was build the website on Squarespace, build the e-commerce site on Shopify. So if they've done that, a few of the people continue to be on Squarespace as well. You can do both to a certain extent. And it's very integrated with a lot of them. Now, if you look at the e-commerce capability alone, which is where the big subscription revenue comes from, Shopify is still very dominant. Now, this is as of 2023. It hasn't changed that dramatically. Squarespace is still on the third space, just within the small medium segment, if you will. There are a whole host of others. If you look at broader sales, WooCommerce tends to be the largest one in terms of number of installations. If you look at the total number of e-commerce companies, someone says some numbers that I saw from Built with about 5.2 million, 5.4 million. Of those, WooCommerce has got the most number of installations, followed then by Shopify, which is about 2 million installations. Squarespace comes much smaller, roughly about actually half of Shopify at about 1 million or so, and Wix is even smaller than that. So that's the by hosted solution. Now, if you look at it from a different perspective, which is hosted, the e-commerce hosted solution, then Squarespace is number 3 after Wix. So different ways to look at it. The e-commerce distribution among the top million sites, Squarespace still does fairly well in terms of percentage of the ownership. Of the top million sites, as you can expect, it's much smaller. Just in terms of content management system, if you're building a simple website, don't have e-commerce, you're just building a consulting website, for example, Squarespace does fairly well, but still smaller than Wix. Wix is the number 2 solution. GoDaddy tends to be fairly big as well. What do they allow you to do? They give you a whole host of capabilities. In fact, this is a little bit dated. Balloon Suite is one of the solutions that say they do everything and these guys don't. All of these guys now pretty much do everything across the board. So what are the things that are playing in their favor? A lot more people going off and doing individual websites. So most of these people are either creating content or they are doing a side hustle. That is one of the biggest growth areas. Subscription memberships, not just on TwinTwit, but in other areas as well. People buying into somebody's subscription, paying them a monthly fee. And then most of these trends they're saying are here to stay even post the pandemic. For example, courses, for example, communities, premium content, all of that is available. Scheduling is essentially giving you an ability to be able to have someone book your time. That's usually someone who's a nail salon expert, someone who rents out their time, if you will, lawyers as well, consultants, coaches, that's a big thing. Most of the people start with one and then grow from there, scale to about 15 members. That's usually on the membership side and helps them grow on a fairly quick basis and fairly easy basis. Okay, so Talk is a reservation system. As I mentioned, they compete with Toast and a few others. Allows you to be able, if you're a restaurant, you want to be able to help people reserve their seat. Allows you to be able to do that in a seamless enough fashion. Now, the creator space, which is the fastest growing space, roughly about 200 million to about 500 million people call themselves creators. Most of them are side hustles. Most of them are very small, but they still spend some money to get their website up, start putting some content on Instagram, start using some of the capabilities to make their content more effective. And this is very spread out. Most of the people will use Canva the free version. A lot of people will use just plain YouTube and editing tools, which are also free. But a lot of solutions are also possible for you to be able to create specialized content more than what you might get on YouTube. So small businesses, all in one solution. You want a website, they can do it for you. They want workspace automation solutions, they can do it for you, which is productivity solutions. You want an e-commerce site, they can do it for you. You want scheduling, they can do that for you. You want restaurant reservations, yes, they can. And you want to be able to sell time or locations, they can do that as well. But the biggest ones that are actually driving a lot of the growth is the solo entrepreneurs, the creators. Now, they have a fairly predictable business model. People come up, they have 3.7 million subscriptions, roughly about $700 or so on an annualized basis, about $136 annualized just within the website and domain. But if you look at it broader within the top, I think, million customers, it's about $1,000 or so. Recurring revenue, most people buy a website, they don't give it up. Very few people actually give that website up. Fairly efficient model. Gross margins are fairly high in the 70-80%. Operating margin is very low. So that's the big challenge. They make high gross margins and very low operating margins because they have spent so much money, primarily on a combination of website management development and also on the actual 3% associated with their bottom line, which is associated with customer support. So 92% overall subscription-based model. Non-subscription, which is more commerce-based, transaction-based, is about 7% of their revenue. So the revenue is very, very predictable, very subscription-oriented, 80%. GMV tends to be fairly high in that one. Okay, total revenue for last quarter was about 270 million. Again, they're growing at about 20% or a little bit less than 20%. They grew 18% last year. The next projected growth for 2024 is about 21%. Commerce revenue is about 82 million. Total bookings about 286. So if you look at it overall, they're doing about $1.15 billion with a B in total revenue. They're growing at about 18 to 20%. And their bottom line savings in terms of their profit margin is also fairly high, growing fairly well overall. Okay, $20-23 billion, total bookings were 1.1 billion. Recurring revenue is very strong as well. So that's the summary of Squarespace. Now let's go and look at the 5-step process